So today we are going to talk on a very wide topic on recovering from heartbreak. The heartbreak of an ended relationship or an ended marriage. Na mimi nimekuwa nikifikiria, I have been wondering on which area to talk about. But let me share and then I will allow you to ask questions. Maswali ndio, nitashukuru sana mkiuliza maswali because I need to understand what are you struggling with. Na ningependa kuuliza swali, is there somebody here who has not experienced a heartbreak? Kuna mtu mwenye haja kuwa na broken relationship ama broken marriage? Is there anybody like that? Is there anybody like that?
Yes.
Sioni mtu akitype. It means that probably all of us have experienced a heartbreak. Ni ukweli? Na kwa kweli, when you suffer a heartbreak, it is the same as, it's actually called grief. It is grief. It's a loss. But sometimes it's a loss that is very lonely. You don't even know what to talk about. There is a book I like very much, inaitwa Messages to Young People by Ellen G. White, and she says, it's better a broken engagement than a broken marriage. So, if you are in a relationship, let me begin from there. There is somebody who has said on TikTok, they have not suffered a heartbreak. I'm happy for you. And you are among the very special people. You are in the minority. Most of us have suffered a heartbreak. Whether you are the one who ends the relationship, hata kama ni wewe umeachwa, ama ni wewe umeacha mtu, you still feel a loss. Romantic relationships are meant for oneness. You are supposed to be one with your loved one. And anytime it ends, you actually feel like you have lost a part of you. So we want to begin from the place of how can we minimize heartbreak? We can minimize heartbreak by, first of all, being ready to be in a relationship. We need to get ourselves ready to get into a relationship. Anytime you're not ready to get into a relationship and you get into a relationship, chances of it failing are very high. What are some of the things that you need to do so that you can get ready to get into a relationship? The first thing is that you need to be ready mentally. You need to be ready mentally. Mentally, emotionally, you are ready. You also need to be ready financially because there is no romance without finance. You have to be ready financially in such a way that you are able to take care of yourself first and another person. The other thing you need to do is that you need to have worked on your past so that you are able to bring whatever issues you had in the past on the table. Ikiwa wewe ni mtu mwenye umeficha mambo chini ya meza, you have things under the table and there are things you don't want to talk about. You want to keep them hidden. You are not ready. There are chances that the things are going to come out and the relationship is going to end. So you have to be whatever happened. Some of us have very dark pasts and it is okay. It's not your fault because some of the things that happened, you did not plan. But you need to have peace so that when you are getting somebody, you are getting into a relationship with somebody, you have to be ready to talk about it. Pengine utawapea details, but you need to be able to confess, to talk about what experiences you had in the past. There are people who get into relationships na wako na watoto na hawasemi. They keep a whole human being. They keep the details hidden. In such a case, then it means that your relationship has a high chance of failing. Another thing you do so that you are ready to get into a relationship is that you have to be your own person. Isikuwe ni ile story ya kusema ya kwamba my mother said, my father said, my brother said, my sister said, I don't know who said. You have to be man enough or woman enough so that you are ready to disappoint other people for the sake of your relationship. Okay? So those are a few of the things that I must say that you have to be ready so that you can minimize the chances. But it doesn't mean that if you do all those things, your relationship is not going to, it's going to work. Sometimes you can do everything, as I have said, but your relationship still does not work. Now, when you have worked on yourself, lazima pia ukae rada. Your eyes have to be open. Sometimes you can be in a relationship with somebody na unaangalia unaona red flags. For example, unaona mtu anatumia pombe na sigara na wewe utumii, alafu una ignore. Ama unasema, I'm going to pray for the person and they are going to change. You are not Christ, you are not even the Holy Spirit to change anybody. Sometimes you are with somebody na huyo mtu ako dishonest, anadanganya. Then you think that they are going to change. Sometimes you are in a relationship na unapata mtu ako na watu wengine. You know? Okay, yeah, you have, the person has other people. And you keep on telling yourself that because they love me so much, they are going to change. So lazima ukae rada. You have to have your non-negotiables, which you say, if I see this, I'm gone. So once you do that, then you get into the relationship. Now we are trying to avoid heartbreak. So once you get into a relationship, you have to decide what are some of the values that you have. Because you can have your values, then you get into a relationship and somebody makes you compromise. For example, some of the things I can tell you that you don't need to exchange with somebody. Don't exchange money. Because if you're exchanging money with somebody, they will only be attracted to your hand and not your heart. And it's going to cloud your judgment. Kuna watu wanaweza kaa na wewe, not because they love you, but because they love the fact that you're giving them money. Do not start investing with somebody who is not married to you. Don't start investing, mnaanza kununua mashamba, kununua nyumba, kununua ng'ombe na mifugo pamoja, and you're not married to this person. There are people who are staying together because of the things they have together, but there is no love. So don't exchange money with somebody. You are not their parent. Don't take care of them. And there is no man who truly loves a lady mwenye anaanza kumuomba pesa. There is no man who starts borrowing a woman money. If they love you so much and they need money, they will borrow from the bank or they will borrow from their friends. If they are borrowing you money, they just want to use you, okay? The other thing is that you have to decide that you don't get sexually intimate with somebody before you get married. Because there are people who stay together because of being sexually intimate with the person. So even when they have a conflict, they get into sex, they are not able to solve the conflict. And finally, they get married, they find that they don't have a relationship, okay? So now let's assume you have done your best. You have worked on yourself, you have been keen on the person, and then eventually you are in a relationship, you have done your best. Maybe somebody has left you. No, before we talk about somebody leaving you, what if you get into the relationship and you realize that you're not with the right person? If you realize you're not with the right person, you need to end the relationship. You can try to solve the issue. You try to talk to them about it. If you realize they are wanajidefend, they are being defensive, and they are not willing to negotiate and change, you need to end the relationship. How do you end the relationship? You need to have a conversation. Don't ghost people. Don't ghost. Don't blue tick and eventually ghost anybody. Have a conversation, but don't go to their house. Let them not come to your house. Meet in a public, private place. For example, you can meet in a quiet restaurant. You can meet in a park. And once you meet, you use the sandwich method. How does the sandwich method look like? Thank them for something which they have contributed in your life. It can even include they have helped you understand yourself better. Be honest, be genuine. So share with them something that they have done. If, as I said, even if it means that they have made you understand yourself better. And then tell them that you don't wish to continue with the relationship. So you see, we are talking about sandwich method. The upper part is the bread, whereby you appreciate them. In between is what you put in between the sandwich, the real thing. let them know that you don't wish to continue with the relationship. Then cover that with another piece of bread by telling them that you wish them all the best. Once you have ended the relationship, don't hang around. Don't remain friends. When you have been in a relationship with somebody, you can no longer afford to just be friends. If it means cutting contact, blocking them everywhere, do that for at least 6 months and pray for yourself and pray for them as well. You don't need to pray for them when you are together. You pray for them at a distance, okay? So you pray for healing. Now, what if somebody has left you? When somebody has left you, do not try to force them to remain with you. Don't beg, don't plead, don't threaten that you are going to kill yourself. Ukiachwa achika, ukikataliwa katalika. If you really want to be with the person, the best way you can go about it is to just release them. The more you want to beg and plead and tell them you're going to kill yourself, you reduce chances of them ever even coming back to you. So when somebody has told you that they want to end the relationship, please release them. Go and cry, go and fast, go and pray, lock yourself in a house, but don't harm yourself, don't harm people. Don't go and start, don't start stalking them. Don't send people to convince them to be with you, because the more you beg, the further away you push them. So kubali, omba, pray for healing. If there is anything that they shared with you, maybe they gave you some gifts and you don't want the gift, you can give them out to charity, you can discard the gifts. If you want to return, you can return the gifts. If you don't want to stay with them, because some of the gifts remind you, okay? Now, do not jump into another relationship very soon. If you jump into another relationship very soon, you have not healed. That is going to be a rebound. Ask yourself, what made this relationship end? I know sometimes we can call other people, we can say they are narcissists, it's a toxic relationship, then we act like us, we are the good ones, and we want to now walk away and think that we are the angels, and them they are the devils. But I want to say that for every relationship that has ended, everyone has a role to play. Yeye anaweza kuwa alikuwa na weaknesses zako na wewe lazima uko na zako. So because you may not want to focus on their weaknesses, focus on your own weaknesses. And your weaknesses can even include, maybe you were naive, maybe ulikuwa naive, hukuweza kuangalia, kulikuwa na red flags. Zingine hata si red flag, hata kulikuwa na red sea. Na wewe hukuona hiyo red sea ukajitumbukiza tu kwa red sea, you know. So it's important for you to ask, what is my part in this? What contribution have I made? And you're asking that not because you want to blame yourself, but you're asking that so that you can improve, you can get better. If you don't, you're going to get into another relationship with somebody, you think it's a different person, but they are going to be the same character. So it's important for you to know the areas, what lessons have you learned? Because every ended relationship is a lesson that has been learned. So take your time. And when you get into another relationship, don't act victim. There are people who like to be the victim. They like saying, akanifanyia, alafu, mimi, akanitesa. If you meet somebody who is acting victim like that, they are not ready to get into a relationship. Ule mtu mwenye yeye ndiye victim, alifanyiwa, akafanyiwa, that person is not ready to get into a relationship. Otherwise, if somebody can honestly talk about the part they contributed and the part the other person contributed, then they are ready to get into a relationship. So learn your lessons. Don't act as the victim. Don't stay blaming other people. Take responsibility of your part. Na usirevenge, wanze kuumiza mtu, ama uende kule social media. You start spoiling their name, you start sharing their pictures, you start sharing screenshots. You don't do that. That is a sign of immaturity. You need to accept the lesson that you have learned and be willing to move on, because for every relationship that has failed, you have more and more chances of getting into a better relationship. I want to pause there. Kama kuna maswali pastor, ningependa kuyajibu.
Aya, thank you. Naona kule TikTok live. Na shukuru sana. Wacha ni mute daktari kidogo. Nashukuru sana, Mungu ametujalia tumekuwa na daktari wetu anaitwa Dr.Rose Misati, ametuzungumzia about heartbreaks ambazo vijana wengi huwa wakati tumefunja uhusiano tunaanza kuseek refuge immediately. Yaani immediately tena unaanza kupragna yeye, unapita mbele ya watu, yaani mbele yake ili umfilishe kama anaweza akarudi. Kuna mambo ambayo nimejifundisha. Better end 1,000 relationships than to end a marriage. Na ukiona red flags, wacha kuforce vitu. Wacha kuforce vitu. Ukiachwa, achika. Ukikataliwa, katalika. Katalika. That is a new vocabulary in Nairobi. Ukikataliwa, katalika. Tunashukuru sana. Naomba kupatia wale tuko Google Meet, kama kuna swali lolote. Wacha nisome. Kuna mmoja anasema, Nganai Kipto, I once suffered heartbreak and these are the questions that I kept asking myself. Was I not enough? Did they even truly love me? What if I never find love again? Was it my fault? Why did they move on so fast? Did I waste my time? Will I never stop loving them? What if I never feel this way about someone again? Did I ignore red flags? Am I the problem? Maswali haya ni mengi. Violet Samuel anauliza swali hivi. Doki, requesting you to share after the discussion. Atashare. Sijaona swali lolote ambalo limeandikwa kwa Google Meet. Hebu nikaone swali ambalo limeandikwa kwa TikTok. Kama hamna, tumpatie mwalimu nafasi aendelee. How social media has changed the way we love. Ni swali ameuliza. Je, mambo ya social media yamebadilisha vile tunavyopenda? Ni swali ambalo ameliuliza. Naamini unasidi kuandika chini. Alafu anasema, how can I get strength and confidence of self after silent heartbreak? How can I get strength and confidence of self after a silent heartbreak? Jambo lingine, Doti anatoka Gatuta, anauliza swali hivi. Is it true that mtu akiachwa anaweza heal in another relationship? Daktari, naamini unasidi kuyaandika chini. Is it true kwamba mtu akiachwa anaweza heal in another relationship? Ni swali ambalo linasidi kuulizwa. Na sasa hivi wacha tukaingie kwa Google Meet. Kuna maswali na maona yamekuja. Swali la kwanza, is it okay to ask a new partner about their past? Ni vizuri kuchimbua na kuuliza mtu kuhusu past yao. Swali lingine, someone asking to be friends. Is friendship with opposite gender real? Swali lingine, does that person have hidden agenda? Is friendship with opposite gender real? Does that person have hidden agenda? Maureen Ongondo anauliza, is it true that once you break up with somebody, you not get a right person again? Is it true that once you break up with somebody, you not get a right person again? Sasa naomba daktari aweze kujibu hayo, kisha nitaweza kurudi na kusoma maswali mengine. Daktari, karibu.
Okay, asante Pastor.
You, wale tuko TikTok, are you getting Dr. Rose?
Mwambie unmute TikTok.
Unmute TikTok. Unmute TikTok.
Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, we are getting you.
Okay, good. So let me answer the question. Kama kuna yenye nimesahau utaniambia. Social media, how it has helped. Social media has been very helpful. There are many people I know wamekutana pale social media. After that wakakutana face to face na wameoana. They're having a very good marriages. So kuna hiyo positive aspect of social media. But also there is a negative aspect of social media whereby kuna a lot of pressure. Mtu ana post relationship goals. Wewe unaangalia unafikiria kila siku hivyo ndio watu wanaishi. Alafu unaanza kuwekea your loved one pressure. Unaanza kumwekea pressure, unataka mkae kama vile watu wanakaa TikTok ama vile watu wanakaa pale Google Meet. Unajua hiyo it's just for a time. That is not normal life. So kuna vile imeweka pressure. Kuna pressure ingine nimeona wanaume wanawekewa inaitwa push gift. Umeona push gift? Ule mwingine anaona bibi yake anaenda kujifungua ananunuliwa Mercedes. Sijui ananunuliwa nini. So other men start wondering, am I man enough because I'm not able to do this? Kama haingekuwa ni social media tungekuwa tunajua hizo vitu. Si wakati when there was no social media, we only knew what is happening in our village. And most of the time, people in our village, they were just like us. But right now, unaweza pata uko Kawangware, you are seeing what people are doing in Minnesota. So you start comparing. And some of those things, they are just for performance. So kuna pressure. So it's up to you to make a choice. Uelewe ya kwamba, nobody posts their negative. Sana sana watu wana post their positive. So usijitie pressure because of social media. People do not act like that every time. The other thing somebody asked, can you heal in another relationship? You can, but you need to make sure that you are not bleeding when you get into a relationship. Let me give you an example. Assume umepata accident na unamwaga damu, you are bleeding. Unakimbizwa hospitali kwanza, they stabilize you, they stop the bleeding. Ukitoka hospitali sio ati umepona kabisa, isn't it? People don't leave hospital when they are completely healed. They go to heal at home. But can they go home when they are bleeding? If you go home when you are bleeding, you can bleed to death and you will infect other people. So you can heal in a relationship, but not when you are very raw. When you are very raw and you're bleeding, your next is going to suffer for the sins of your ex. Your next will suffer for the sins of your ex. Your next will do something, alafu unaanza kusema, ule mwingine alikuwa anafanya hivi. So you don't get into a relationship when you are still very, very raw, when you are bleeding. You have to take time to the point that hizo wounds zimekuwa covered, so you are not very raw. You can have a scar, but not a wound. You know, there is a difference between a wound and a scar. A wound is bleeding and it's raw and it's painful. But a scar, it has a mark, but it's not painful. So we can see the scar, we can say this and this happened, but when somebody touches the scar, it's not painful. If you are very touchy-feely, uko very reactive, something happens na una react, pengine uja heal. So you need to heal to an extent, kama vile mgonjwa anakuwa discharged from hospital. The other part is on the questions that somebody said they asked when they were left. It is normal. That is what healing is about. You take time to ask all those questions. But then what you do, you need to develop your self-esteem so that your relationship does not define you. The questions I saw, it's like your identity and your self-esteem was rooted in the relationship. Everybody needs to develop their identity so that your identity is not going to be wrapped with the identity of another person. If the only thing that you have about yourself is the other person, hata kama ni husband, hata kama ni wife, they need to have their identity. You have your identity. Your children have their own identity. Otherwise, if you don't, when they will disappoint you, because they will disappoint you, everybody will disappoint you at one point. So when they disappoint you, you feel like you're nothing because you have given so much power to other people. So develop your self-esteem, your confidence, so that you're not relying on other people to make you who you are. So it's normal to ask questions. That's why you take time to heal. Now, somebody has asked about their past. You can ask somebody about their past, but not too fast. Now, this one I can only put it in Ekegusi. Those who don't understand Ekegusi, maybe a pastor will translate. Omanyetete okurindokera omuntu, yani okumurindokera, you want to start asking them about the graves of their ancestors, and you have just met on day one. Na unataka kumuuliza blood type yake sijui nini. Pastor, hiyo sasa utai-translate, ache kurindokera omuntu, tunasema aje?
Yani kukimbilia mtu, kushtua mtu, kufamia mtu.
Good, yeah. So thank you. So the thing is that you have to take your time. Hata wewe usiwe unakuta mtu leo unamwambia where your ancestors were buried, unamwambia blood group yako, M-Pesa pin, your ID number, your bank account details, na umemkuta tu this week. You have to take your time and don't disclose too much. Una disclose pole. Haraka ni ya kwenda wapi? So you can ask the past, but you have to take time. You have to ask slowly by slowly. That is how you take time. That is what courtship is about. Unajuana pole. Na ukipata mtu mwenye anakuuliza very intimate questions. For example, unapata mtu alafu anaanza kukuuliza, how many people have you slept with? Ni mara ngapi? Na mulikuwa kwa kichaka ama kwa lodging ama wapi? For what purpose are they asking you those details? So ukipata mtu anajaribu kukuchimba na kukuchimbua, that one, the intentions are not good. But in a healthy relationship, watu wanajuana na wanaelewana pole. Let me see, was there another question was on the friends. Somebody was asking, can you have friends of the opposite gender? Yes, you can. There are people you knew kitambo and you are good friends. But if you get somebody, pengine you are an adult, kama sahi, most of us are adults, and they are trying to ask you to be their friend, you can always ask, where is this going? Do you have any intentions? Do you have any plan? There's somebody alikuwa ananitumia messages kule messenger every day, ananitumia message, morning, how are you, evening? And I told them, this is very strange. Where are you going with this? What's your plan? Where are you going? Because when you tell somebody good morning, good evening, I mean, where are you going? So especially if you get somebody and they want to be your friend and they are of the opposite gender, at a later age, you need to ask what is their intention. Alafu, if you are married or you are in a relationship, don't start having best friends of the opposite gender, because you are going to make your spouse to doubt you. And don't start having close friends after you get into a relationship. Let me give an example. If you have met somebody, pengine mmeanza relationship, mnakot ama umeoana na umemuintroduce, umemwambia Georgie na Jemo na Johnny, we grew up together in the same village, umemuintroduce. Hakuna vile utaanza kumwambia later on, alafu umwambie nimeenda workshop nikapatana na Deno, sasa Deno ni my best friend. I'm just using as an example. You can't start having close friends of the opposite gender after you have met your loved one. If you had them in the past, maybe you had friends in the past, you introduced them. And many times, if the friendship is not genuine, you know it. Because unapata delete messages, ukichukua simu unaenda kuongelelea, you go to speak in the bathroom, unaenda kuongea nje, ama unaweka ringtone kama battery low. So if the ringtone rings, battery low. So kama your partner ako hapa anakupatia, anakuambia enda ucharge simu, kumbe wewe umeweka ringtone funny hivyo, because you know that it's not a genuine friendship. So if there is anything that you feel you need to hide, then that is not a genuine friendship. Pastor, I think nimejibu. I don't know whether there is any other.
Misati kwa majibu mazuri. Naomba tena niweze kukupa maswali hapo hapa. Naomba tena kukusomea swali hapa. Anasema kwamba swali la kwanza ambalo nachukua hapa TikTok, nachukua TikTok live. Anasema kwamba, is the blood group a factor to consider in a relationship? Is the blood group a factor to consider in a relationship? Lea Sweet umetulia acha una maswali. Ya, swali lingine.
Niko nayo nitauliza. Nimekuambia bado sijafika. Niko kwa train ya kwenda tao.
Sawa. Swali lingine analoliuliza limepotelea wapi? How will I know that this is the right relationship so that I can fight for it? How will I know that this is the right relationship to fight for it? Question number 3. Is it important or necessary to discuss with a new partner what led to your breakup? Ndio nimefunja uhusiano wangu wa kwanza. Ni vizuri tena kwanza kuelezea ni nini kilifanya tukafunja uhusiano wetu. How do you treat silent breakup or rather than someone who ghosts you? Nimemaliza yale maswali ambayo yapo. How do you deal with those people who always pretend to love you but still treat you badly? They pretend to love you but still treat you badly. How do you deal with this? Nimemalizana na TikTok yale maswali ambayo yapo. Wacha nijaribu kuangalia maswali machache hivi hapa upande huu mwingine. Is it true once you break up with somebody you will not get the right person? Is it true? Jambo lingine anauliza, maswali ni mengi lakini tutaweza kujibu yale daktari ataweza kuyajibu. What are the emotional and psychological challenges that prevent someone from healing and moving forward after a breakup? What are the emotional and the psychological challenges that prevent someone from healing and moving forward after a breakup? Another question. What is the right time to get married for ladies? What is the right time to get married for ladies? Alafu anaendelea akisema kwamba mwingine anasema Yvonne Kemuma, the Bible says the heart is deceitful. While it comes to making decisions in this aspect, it is advisable to use our mind to judge and make decisions or rather listen to our hearts. Sijajua hiyo amesema namna gani kwa maana muda unatukimbiza. How long somebody may take to heal after breakup? Kwa sababu I was broken 3 years now, but it is hard for me to move on without a relationship. Anaitwa Onteg Dayson. Uni shabiki wa Aero ya Wasai. Anauliza swali, how long inatake mtu aweze kuheal from a relationship? Swali lingine, Nganai Kipto kutoka Utawala Satellite anauliza swali hivi, what steps can we take to ensure we don't become afraid or avoid getting into a new relationship after experiencing a breakup? What steps can we take to ensure we don't become afraid or avoid getting into a new relationship after experiencing a breakup? Maraga anauliza, can there be a situation where one gets comfortable being by themselves? Yani, niamue tu nikae kivyangu. Can I be comfortable? Niwe kivyangu tu. Can I be comfortable? To what extent can having the opposite gender as a best friend influence your relationship? To what extent can having the opposite gender as a best friend influence your relationship? Is there a bar as to how much someone can sacrifice for a relationship? Is there a bar as to how much someone can sacrifice for a relationship? And the last one, what are your thoughts on interested-based relationships that the intentional dating? What are your thoughts on interested-based relationships that the intentional dating? Ukimaliza kujibu hayo, tafadhali naomba uweze kuendelea ili uweze kuzungumzia sasa wale ambao wameachwa kutoka familia, wamezaa watoto wawili, mtoto mmoja, hawajazaa watoto 5, watoto 6, na jamaa amemwacha, ama mwanamke ameacha jamaa na akaenda akaolewa, ama jamaa ameacha mwenzake na ameenda akaoa. Now what can we do about it? Thank you. Karibu daktari.
Okay, nimeunmute hata TikTok. Haya ni maswali mazuri. Wacha nijibu, then you'll tell me whether nimejibu all of them. The first one I took was on blood group. Blood group is important because of rhesus factor. High school biology tulisoma about rhesus factor na vile ina affect the children. However, there are medical interventions. Mtu anaweza tumia vaccine inaitwa anti-D. But for you to know, it's not so that you can leave the person. It's so that you can be prepared for any eventuality. So blood group is very important so that you know when you are getting married. Not just blood group, but you also need to understand about genetic diseases. Kama unaweza kumbuka your high school biology, you remember those diseases we learned which are genetic, kama albinism, we learned about sickle cell disease, we learned about leukemia, na tukasoma ya kwamba mkiwa na recessive gene, then you get married, that recessive gene and the other one has recessive gene, it can become dominant, na mpate watoto wenye wako na hiyo condition, sickle cell, leukemia, albinism. Now, it does not mean that when you discover you leave the person, you don't have to leave them. But the point I'm saying is, you need to understand so that you can know how to deal with it. Because there are medical interventions for that. So blood group is very important, especially for a relationship. And for a Christian, you get into a relationship hoping to get into marriage, okay? The other question was, sijui ya pili ni kama siku capture vizuri. Or how do you know that you are in the right relationship? How you know that you are in the right relationship is if you have standards. If you have no standards, you will not know whether you are in the right relationship. But if you have standards, you will know that you're in the right relationship. There is a book called Alice in Wonderland. And that book called Alice in Wonderland, it's a children's book. It has a quote that says, if you don't know where you are going, any road is going to lead you there. Unaona sasa, for example, ukiwa Nairobi, most of us are in Nairobi. And then you don't know where you're going. And then you start asking, where is the stage? You see, in Nairobi, there are many stages. So you start asking, where is the stage? Somebody is asking, but where were you going? So if you don't know where you're going, atakupeleka stage ya Kisumu ama stage ya Mombasa. But if you know I'm going to Mombasa, so you are asking, where is the stage to Mombasa? And then the question I will be asking you, do you want to go by air? Do you want to go by road? Do you want to go by SGR? So the first thing you need to know is that you need to have your standards. What standards do you have? What person are you looking for? I have shared this at Tegesa FM. I said, you need to have a list. Have a list of the qualities you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who is kind, somebody who is financially stable, somebody who can clean themselves. All those things you're looking for, you need to develop those things in yourself. Become financially stable, become clean, become organized. Because you cannot ask somebody to be financially stable when you're not. Yeye atakuwa ametoa hiyo pesa wapi? So you have to learn those things. You become those things. If you have become those things, if you shower and you're really clean, you can demand somebody who also takes a shower because you're also clean. Lakini kama 3 days hujabrush meno, and then you want somebody who brushes their teeth twice a day, that is not going to work. So for you to know that the relationship is right, you must have standards. That's where you begin from. Now, the other question was, what do you do with the people who do silent breakups? Treat them the way you treat your ancestors. Do you know your ancestors who died? Wale ancestors wako, your great-grandparents who are dead, wako wapi? Si wamezikwa. They are in the grave. Leave them to rest until the resurrection morning. People who ghost you, treat them like ghosts. Now, don't start asking me whether ghosts exist or not. Pastor wako hapo watatuambia about the theology of ghosts. Mi siongei theology hapa, na kuambia kama mtu akikughost, you treat them like the ghost of your ancestors. You let them rest. You don't go to check on the graves of your ancestors kama wame resurrect. You don't go to check on them. Evon Kemuma, you can type what you mean by it is not clear. Please type, explain. So if somebody has ghosted you, you forget about them. You leave them to rest. Unaenda ukiendanga. You don't keep going to look for ghosts. Treat them like a ghost. Somebody has asked, people who pretend to love you by their words, but their actions are different. When the words and the actions don't match, you forget. Or my voice is breaking. Sorry. Is my voice breaking? Can somebody else hear me? Pastor, can you hear me? Or my voice is breaking. Can you hear me? Is it? Oh, I think Evon angalia internet yako Evon. Ebu nunua bundles. Evon nunua bundles. So now the thing is, when somebody, I was answering another question. When people's words and actions don't match, you forget the words and you take the actions. Volume iko sawa. If somebody says, I love you, but they treat you bad, forget about the words. Words are cheap. Forget about the words, take the actions, and be a very good student of life. When somebody treats you in a way, act, karada. So forget about the words and take the actions. There's no confusion there. Words can lie, but actions never lie. Now, the other question was, can one get comfortable? Yes. In a healthy relationship, you are supposed to be comfortable. If you are in a relationship where you are not comfortable to show the good, the bad, and the ugly, that relationship is not healthy. A healthy relationship allows you to be naked and not ashamed. Naked sio kutoa nguo. Ndio, kutoa nguo is one of them. But naked is whereby you can open your heart and you're not ashamed. So that is a healthy relationship for you. Once you break up, you will get a better person. That is your trauma speaking to you. That you break up, you will not get another person. No. When you break up, you are at a better place to even get a better person. Because now you know better. The other question was, what prevents somebody from healing? What may prevent somebody from healing probably is because they have a low self-esteem and maybe they put a lot of confidence in another human being. The Bible says, cursed is the man who trusts in the arm of flesh. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord. So maybe you have put so much trust. You have let somebody else define you. When you let yourself be defined by another person, it's going to be very hard for you to heal. But you need to define yourself by what God says about you. So maybe you need to build your self-esteem. Sometimes also if you are isolated, you're not interacting with other people, you can take long. So you need to interact with other people, join a youth group, be social, try to be a social person. Another one is, what is the right age to get ready? No, there is really no right age. The point is, okay, no, let me put this separately. Studies show that the human brain is mature by the age of mid-20s. By mid-20s, the human brain is mature by that age. And the men are usually about 18 months. Men usually take about 18 months. They are usually behind by 18 months. That is psychology or science. So men are mature by around 27. Women are mature by around 25. However, that's not the only reason. We said that you are ready to get married if you can financially take care of yourself and take care of another person. So there are things that you can be 40 years, but you're not ready. You can be 45, but you're not ready because you are still depending on your parents. If you are depending on your parent and you're 45, you're not yet mature. So your body can be old, but your mind is not mature. So you need to be psychologically, emotionally, financially mature. The other question was, how long does it take to heal? It depends. People take different times to heal. It depends on the work you are doing around that. But for some people, a lot of people take about 6 months, but it depends. If you find yourself that you are taking too long to heal, maybe you need to work on your self-esteem. Maybe you put so much confidence on another human being. Maybe you need to meet new people, okay? The other one is steps not to get afraid. You feel the fear, but you do it anyway. We don't go by fear, we go by faith. Feeling afraid is human. Feeling afraid is normal. So you will feel the fear, but you do it anyway. Because you cannot drive a parked car, neither can you swim when you are outside of the swimming pool. So you will feel the fear, but you will act anyway. So there is no magic cure for fear. Fear is human, fear is normal. It is normal for you to feel afraid, especially when you've been heartbroken. It's part of life, okay? 11, I think, yeah, somebody had asked, what is there a situation one can get comfortable being alone? One can get comfortable being alone. However, if they are masturbating, they are watching pornography, then they are not healthy. Because we were created to enjoy our sexuality with other people. So, if you are comfortable, you are alone and you are not engaging sexually, you are not watching pornography, you are not masturbating, maybe you're okay. But if you are alone but una masturbate, una watch pornography na mambo mengine, uko addicted, you are not healthy. To what extent having opposite gender can having an opposite gender friend affect your relationship? It will affect your relationship because the person who is your partner is the one who is supposed to be closest to you. So when you introduce another person, you end up sharing your secrets with them. They can overthrow the government. And we have had cases like that, where they get to learn the weaknesses of your partner. And when they learn the weaknesses of your partner, they capitalize on the weaknesses of your partner and they overthrow. Maybe the other thing you need to ask yourself, is your partner okay? Is your partner okay with having a best friend of the opposite gender? 99% are not okay. So that tells you, if you really care about your relationship, you need to go slow on that opposite gender friendships. The 13th question is the bar set on the relationship that you sacrifice. Sasa, hii ni standard yako. What is your bar? That is a question. There are people I meet na wananiambia, girls wananiambia, them they are okay being a side chick, they are okay being a second wife. Who am I to decide for you that that bar is too low? If you feel that that is what you deserve, so be it. There are some men I meet and they tell me, I love this girl so much, akinikubali tu nikuwe mmoja wao. If I can just be one of her boyfriends, I will be the happiest man in the world. Sasa, see, that is your bar. If your bar is rock bottom, below sea level, sasa mi nitakuamulia kweli that is a low bar. So the bar is up to you. You are the one to set the bar for yourself. But then the bar you set determines more of the way you see yourself. That's why you need to work on your self-esteem so that you can raise the standard, so that you don't settle.